All right, so that's about knowledge areas. So coming to the process. In PMP, 6th edition, which is more talking about changes in Agile concept and perspective, we follow the quality cycle, which is we call it Deming cycle. Plan, do, check, act. Edward Deming is a scientist, and he is normally referred as father of quality management framework, father of quality management. So one of the first. What it does actually mean is, through a process, we keep on continuously increasing. We plan a process, we will actually do the process, we execute it, and then we will check how is the deviation, like are we able to achieve what is being planned, and then accordingly we will act. Act is, you'll see, you calculate, measure, find out few techniques, and then you plan it again and do check, act. This is a Deming cycle. So we have 5 process groups in PMP. Fortunately, PMP does not change LVC, folks. Let me know if you are able to listen clearly. So fortunately, there is no extension of process groups. We have initiating, planning. Yes?
I have a question in techniques.
Yes, go ahead.
Do I have memorized our techniques all the time in each process?
Yeah, good question. So 5 process groups, and you have 49 processes in PMBOK 6. So that's quite vast. 49 processes. You don't have to remember. Don't get scared. And each process has many tools and techniques, input and output tools and techniques. So there are about 712 inputs, tools and techniques, outputs for each process. I mean, together all. 712. I don't think you can remember 712. The best way to remember them is based on the context. So if you understand what is this process, what is initiating, and what are the processes in initiating, based on the questions, if you understand the concept itself, based on the questions in the PMP exam, you will quickly, recall what would be the techniques. So to answer your question, well, if you can remember, excellent, but typically you don't have to. You just understand the rationale or concept behind it, that's good enough. Is it clear?
Okay, fine, thank you. Yes, it's clear, thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving forward, any questions from here, classroom?
Agile has to be prepared along with PMP or separately?
Agile, we haven't touched that part yet, but yeah, I'll answer the question. From PMBOK 6 edition, Agile has been, PMP always talks about Agile is a part of, you can use Agile, but in PMBOK 6, they explicitly put Agile as a couple of techniques. Agile is not a separate concept in PMP. In the tools and techniques itself, they'll mention certain Agile concepts. Agile is all about how you can deliver a project in bits of small pieces, right? The problem with a traditional method, where you plan everything, so how the project works, you get an entire requirements document, and then you give it to the team, they do the analysis, then it goes to the BA team, and then the development team, whoever it is with IT project development, and they develop the entire, they deliver the entire project, then the customer will look at it. It might take 3 months, 6 months, or a few years based on the size of the project. But in between, there is very few, less interaction. It's a traditional project management. The problem with this, sometimes customers will be completely surprised. They will be expecting completely something else as an output, but what you've given is not matching the requirement. So the entire time is wasted, and actually the project is termed as failure project. When it comes to Agile, you actually interact with customer more often. Let's say on a weekly basis or maybe fortnightly, 2 weeks, right? Your deliverable will be actually bundled into smaller pieces. Every 2 weeks, you have something to deliver. It goes to the production, customer will actually use it, they get back with the feedback, right? Based on that, your further requirements will be actually changed. This is much more very less risky, because you always have a customer in touch every 2 weeks or every week based on your sprint cycle. And this is fantastic. Whatever projects we are doing right now, because the world is changing very fast, everything kind of includes Agile concepts. This is Agile concept. PMP from PMBOK 6 explicitly got this concept into the framework. It basically means when you do the planning, whatever group you are initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing process, you have Agile concepts being included. So what is Agile? It's making the team more flexible, customer more interactive, and outputs being delivered in smaller chunks. So to answer the question, it's not a separate thing you're learning, it's a part of your PMP itself. Okay? Thank you. So we're going to go into more details about these individual process groups because we have a lot of slides especially on that. There is a bunch of information over here. It's actually provided for you as a reference in the manual. So you have a PMP book which also has similar, so just to connect. I'm going to talk about this in more detail in coming slides. So I'll just pass this on. This is very important. One of the, and people might ask, I've been a project manager for 15 years or 20 years. I can write PMP and I don't need a book because I have 20 years of project experience. They failed in the exam terribly. Right? The reason being, the actual project and what PMP is testing is different. And this slide is about that. Any questions from online? I see somebody just switched it on. Yes, please.
Oh, Agile fits in PMP is different, right?
Agile and PMP is different. Okay, similar question I just answered from one of the classroom participants. Agile is the way you deliver the work. So Agile talks about being very flexible and keeping in touch with the customer, delivering into smaller chunks. It's not a, I won't say Agile is a project management framework. I mean, there are certain project management frameworks called as Agile project management framework, but Agile is more like a philosophy or a way of delivering the work, whereas PMP is a project management framework. So they're different. So Agile does not even talk about project manager because it only talks about delivery, whereas PMP has a proper structure, 49 processes, 10 knowledge areas. It's a full project management framework. So they complement each other. PMP provides a governance and a structure for the project. Agile provides the delivery, flexibility at the delivery level so that you have, you are in touch with customer, you can deliver stuff. Phone? Okay, thank you. All right, so hope that explains the answer. Are your questions all right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, just to explain this quickly, people who have 20 years experience or maybe 30 years experience in project management still fail PMP exam if they don't study PMBOK. The reason being this slide. Because there are certain assumptions being made when you talk about PMP. What are the assumptions? Whatever theory or concepts we are learning, it's mostly my apologies. Okay, it's also indication that kindly put your phones as well in mute. Okay, so when you talk about the client is someone who is external to the organization from a PMP point of view, as you can see over here. All the projects, because this is Indian batch, so we kind of think that whatever we talk about project, we always get from the outside client. When it's a project, it's a US project or UK project. But in PMP, when you say project, it's your internal project. The company has its own projects. Every company has its own projects. But nowadays, all the IT projects, it's very difficult. I mean, you need a lot of IT developers and stuff like that. So big companies don't really bother doing the project internally. They give it to the outside vendors, called as outsourcing. Those projects come to India mostly. Like India is IT hub for the world because the IT projects come to us. But for PMP point of view, whenever we say work or a project or whatever, it's internal project. So it is your own organization project. So it is not coming from the external client. That's very important because the entire perspective changes. When you look at the project coming from the outside, you look at making more money by billing the client more. You don't care about the output because at the end of the day, if requirements are given, then that's it. You simply wash off your hands and you get the money. But if it's an internal project, you really focus on delivering the value because that's internal project. You're not getting money from the client. The product which you're developing should itself become valuable to make more business or make more value to the organization. So this is very important. Many people go wrong here. So whatever questions PMP asks, PMBOK or PMP concepts, it's based on internal project. There is an underlying assumption that the project is internal. And while executing the project, you might have vendors. You will not be doing everything by yourself. You might have vendors from outside, like some piece of work is delivered from outside. So vendors are always external. Right? The three things: client is external, vendors are external, and the work is actually internal work. Okay? Is that clear? All right. Okay. So pretty good. Any questions online? Online folks, questions? Yes. So many
No,
people
it's
online.
clear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions from here? Good. We'll move on to the next topic.